Welcome to another fall edition of Gentle Somatic Yoga and other tools for grounding. It is so important to get grounded in the fall. And so today we are going to start by focusing a little bit on our feet. And in Ayurveda and in traditional Chinese medicine, the feet, and actually Western medicine, your feet have three arches. And they often say that the arches of the feet correspond to the different parts of the spine. So, you have this different, arching in and arching out part of the spine. And so you can think of your feet in the same way. And so we're going to start by really focusing on our feet. And we'll do a variety of things during today's practice that will activate the arches of the feet as well as the lowest meridian point in the body, which is at the bottom of the feet, which is kidney 1. And so that's another really important point. It's an earthing point, even though it's on the water meridian, because the kidney is part of the water element. So if you have some supplies, blocks would be super helpful today. A strap would be super helpful today, as well as the blankets and cushions for when we're on the ground. So we'll start by taking our block and placing it between our thighs, not the widest way, but this way. And I'm just squeezing it here, just so that we activate the muscles of the legs and start feeling your feet more. The thing to watch out for here is that you are not hyper extending your knees. In other words, don't do that. Keep the knees slightly soft, okay? So for a moment, either close your eyes or soft gaze or even look down and just feel the engagement of the muscles in the legs, and then notice what parts of the feet are touching the ground. Interestingly enough, when a baby is very young, they don't have arches in their feet initially. Their arches aren't developed, and it's not until they start to walk and use their feet that they start to develop these arches in the feet. The feet have tons of bones, tons of joints, lots of different muscles. In the way we're standing, the back of the foot bone is called the calcaneus. And that's a really, big bone. But then you have these really thin bones that are your metatarsals that go up to the toes. And then you also have your tarsals, which cross the opposite way. So there's a lot going on in the feet, plus so many of the meridians actually start at the feet. So hopefully you are engaging the legs and noticing your feet pretty strongly. Release the block from between your thighs and just for a bit rock back and forth to the heels, to the balls of the feet, to the heels. So when you're on the heels, lifting the toes, to the balls of the feet, to the heels, to the balls of the feet. One more time. Heels, balls of the feet. And maybe just rock to the outer edge of your foot. So you're on the outside, come back, maybe just draw in so you're feeling the inside of the foot. Come back to the middle, rock to the outside, back, rock in, back. And then if you're not feeling like balancing so early in the class, you could put your hand on the wall, but just go ahead and lift one of the feet and circling it one way, and then circling it the other way, and then maybe even just sickling. So again, sickling it out, sickling it in, sickling it out, sickling it in. Let's do the same thing with the other foot. First circling it, and then circling the other way, and then sickling. And you will notice maybe some differences from foot to foot. One foot might be a little more flexible or maybe more able to be engaged than the other foot. And it's just good to notice these things. Go ahead and widen your stand. Now, if you're not going all the way down to the ground, this is where you could place your hands on the wall or on a chair or on blocks. And we're going to do a wide-legged forward fold. And I really, again, want you to focus on your feet here. So I'm almost doing this like more of a wide-legged downward dog than a forward fold. I'm lengthening my spine. And while you're here, maybe roll to the outside and then slightly roll to the inside of the feet. Roll to the outside. Roll to the inside. Roll to the outside. And roll to the inside. And then maybe even just coming up again to the balls of the feet. Lifting up the toes when you lean back and stretch your spine. Coming up to the balls of the feet as you sort of slide forward. Coming back, lift the toes and lengthen the spine. So heel toe your way in. Bend the knees a lot. Lengthen the spine and come up to standing. Shake things out and walk around your room a little bit. See if your feet and legs are a little more awake. You might even notice when you're just walking normally, how do you walk? Do you walk heel toe? Are you walking toe heel? How are you walking naturally? Again, these are just observations, but our feet are so important for feeling grounded, for also just low back health too. You know, a lot of people don't really recognize the role the feet play in the health of your spine, but they're very, very connected. Okay, so we'll do a couple of warrior series and start with sort of a wide stance, and then take one set of toes and point it to the narrow end of your mat. You might have blocks again for yourself. And the width of this is really up to how you feel today. So I'm going into my initial warrior two, and then I'm releasing that, and then activating the warrior two again, total release. Now, the next time you activate the warrior two, I want the front foot, if you can, feel more of the effort on the outer edge of the foot so that your arch is lifting, and you're almost lifting up from the arch all the way through. And then really ground the back foot completely down if you can. Really feel the four corners, or three, depending on if you consider that calcaneus just one part, or if you consider it outer edge and inner edge. So feel that strength. And then go ahead and release that. Going back in again, place a hand either on your waist or the back thigh. The other hand can be at your neck, and doing a exalting warrior. Get this length in your side body and then release it. And then let's go the opposite way. Now on this one, you could go all the way down to the block and do a real side angle, or you could just do a modified side angle, somewhat like this. And then let's just go back and forth a few times. Releasing in between, don't go too fast. The slower you go, the more you can sense what you're doing. All right. Point both feet toward the front. Roll to the outer edges of your feet for a second, lifting up from the arches, using either blocks, the wall, or the chair. Lean forward, soften, bend an elbow, and twisting it up. Keep grounding into the feet. Keep the elbow bent unless you have absolutely no shoulder or neck issues. If you have no shoulder or neck issues, you could extend the arm completely. Use your breath. Feel the feet grounding, the outer edges, the inside arches are lifting. Take the hands, place them on your thighs, drop the rear a little bit, going into a touch of a squat. Again, press into the feet as you come all the way up, and then setting up for the other side. So once again, make sure the whole back foot is really grounded into the earth and that you are lifting. The front foot, roll a little bit to the outer edge of the foot. So you're lifting up through the inner arch, which is lifting up through the knee. Go into your warrior two. That's your initial warrior two. Release it. And then activate the warrior two. Release. Activate again. Release. Last time. So now we'll do side angle to exalting the warrior. You can have your hand on the block when you do side angle, or just keep it on the leg. So going into side angle, feel the outer edge of that front foot really grounded. Come back, bend the knee again as you lean back. Once again, use your feet to support this pose. Use your breath too. Go at your pace. Keep your neck safe, stay within your range of motion. Let's go ahead and do one more warrior two. Once again, turn both feet to face the front, roll to the outer edges of the feet, lift the inner arch up, and bend the knees, place hands on the thighs, come up and shake things out. Go ahead and walk around your room again. Again, just notice how alive and active your lower body is. And when you activate your feet, you are starting structurally at the base of your body, which really does protect your low back and opens up all your meridians. All right, we'll do a balance, and then that will be all of our standing postures for today. So tree is a great grounding balance pose. But I also think I want to do, let's do the tree against a wall. So let's move things out of your way if you have things in your way. And we'll do tree against a wall a couple of different ways. So first start with your back against a wall. So hopefully you can find a space somewhere in your room. And I want you to really notice your feet standing there. And then lift up the other leg. And maybe draw your arms up. They can be bent in cactus style if you have shoulder or neck issues. Feel the strength. See if you can even lift yourself up further, like inch yourself up the wall. And then go ahead and release that side. Place the heel of the other foot against your wall and make sure that you are feeling your feet develop roots. Your shoulders are back against the wall. Your butt's against the wall. You're standing here maybe with your arms like this. If you have no shoulder issues, you can lift up. Breathing. All right, go ahead and release that. Shake things out. So then the next version, I actually want the bent knee from the tree pose to touch the wall. So position yourself so that when you go into a tree pose, you have a knee touching the wall for a little feedback. And again, you can have arms straight up, you can have them bent, you don't even have to have them up if this is bothering you. Lift up, breathe, and just notice your standing foot. Notice how strong it feels. Okay, and then let's do the other side. And you have to maybe position yourself a little differently. You don't want to bang your knee or anything. You just want the little bit of feedback. It really does concentrate the energy on the standing leg too, but also gives you a little more support. Breathing. All right. Go ahead and shake that out. Walk around your room one more time. And then we're going to set our mat and everything up for all of our laying down poses as well as seated poses. So cover as much as of your mat as you can with a blanket. If you don't have this kind of setup, but have a carpeting that's clean, carpeting works. You want to be able to slide when we're doing the floor work in somatics. So the sliding is incredibly important because now what we're doing is we're really lubricating everything internally. And so we're not going for deep stretches. We're not pushing. We want things to go easily. So the sliding action is really, really important. And if you want things nearby, at some point you might want a cushion, but have it out of the way of your arms so that you can spread your arms out as well. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to do a few of the things that we did standing, also laying down versions of this. So find your way onto your backs. And if you're able to stretch your legs out completely, go ahead and do that. If this is too uncomfortable, you could either place something under the knees, or you could keep the leg bent that were not working initially. So you could handle it that way as well. So adjust your wardrobe so that you're comfortably laying on your back in some way. We're going to focus on pointing and flexing one foot at a time. But what I want you to feel also is almost when you're deeply flexing, that you're actually drawing the hip down. So deeply flex that foot. The hip should slide a little bit down and then come back to neutral and then point it. The hip may hike just a touch. So lengthen that leg, flex the foot. The hip should have slid down just a bit. Shorten that leg, point the toes. The hip has hiked a little bit. It's really subtle. Last time like this, lengthen, feel like the leg has gotten longer as the toes come back towards your nose and you're deeply flexed. And then come back through neutral and then point the toes. All right, go ahead and shake that one out. You could even sickle both feet in between and maybe circle the feet and circle them the other way. And then maybe even have them go toward each other and circling and away from each other and circling. Let's go ahead and do the other leg. So you're lengthening this leg, you're deeply flexing, and now, so you should lengthen that whole side and activated the heel. Come back through neutral, point the toes as the hip slightly hikes towards your rib cage. Now it's not coming off the ground, it's just shifting away and then shifting toward in the pointing, third time. Shifting away as you're flexing. You should have more length on this side and shift toward as you're pointing. Go ahead and bend both knees, place feet on the ground, slightly wider than hip distance. And if you feel comfortable, you could put your arms cactus style with the back of your hands maybe laying on something over your head, if that feels okay. And we'll just very slowly windshield wiper. So you're coming to the inside of one foot, the outside of the other foot. We're still focusing a lot on feet today. So just notice that. I am lengthening the opposite arm to get my whole side body involved. But we're really concentrating on feet and lower body. So come back to stillness. Once again, stretching out the legs. So we're going to work with one leg at a time again. So you can keep your left leg still. The right leg, allow the leg to turn out. So now you're on the outer edge of the leg as well as the foot. Slide it up to a tree pose and slide it back down to neutral. Do that 2 more times. Slide it back up to a tree pose. Slide back down to neutral. Third time. Slide back up to a tree pose and slide it back down. You're on the outer edge of the foot the whole time. So we'll add on from there. Slide it up to a tree pose. Flatten the foot. Feel the foot really touching the earth, the knee to the sky. And then come to the inner edge of the foot. Slide back down on the inner edge of the foot, back to neutral. And do that 2 more times. Slide it back up. Foot is neutral, knee is pointed to sky. You've rolled toward the inside of the foot. Slide back down and shake it out. Last time. Slide back up. Flatten the foot. Feel all parts of the foot touch the ground. And then go to the inner edge of the foot. Slide it back down. We're going to do one more thing with this leg before we switch to the other leg. So this time when you slide it back up, lift the leg slightly up. The knee comes to the sky, the knee crosses over, and then you can put that foot back down. So now you're getting the hip more involved. So when you go on the outside of the foot up, then lift the leg slightly up. Let the knee now point to the sky with the foot in the air. Let the knee slightly cross your midline with the foot still in the air. Then land on the inside of the foot. Slide it down. And we'll do that one more time. Slide it up on the outer edge of the foot, but lift the whole leg up a little bit. Now the knee points to the sky. Now the knee slightly crosses over. Touch the inside of the foot down. Slide it back down and shake that leg out. And let's just do a soma scan before we do the other side to note the differences between the side you just worked and the side you haven't worked yet. My leg feels like 2 inches longer than the other side. Okay, let's go ahead and create this same asana on the other side. So allow the leg to roll off to the side. You're sliding up on the outside of the foot and just sliding back down. Do that 2 more times, slowly noticing where you're activating muscles, noticing where you are releasing on the way back. Last time. Adding on. This time when you slide the foot up, then come to a flat foot, feel your foot deeply into the earth. Then roll to the inside of the foot, the knee rolls over your midline. Slide back on the inside of the foot, internally rotated knee, and shake it out. Go ahead and repeat that. So first your externally rotated knee and hip. Come to the foot, feel the foot plant into the earth. Come to the inside of the foot, slide down, internally rotated knee and hip. Shake it out. Last time like this. Flatten the foot, knee to the sky. Cross the knee over, you're on the inside of the foot. Return to neutral. So now we're going to add the up in the air part. So you're still sliding up like you're doing a tree pose, but then lift the whole leg off the ground. Use the hip now more. Knee points to sky. Hip draws leg slightly over. Come back down to the inside of the foot. Slide it back down and repeat that 2 more times. Slide on the outside of the leg. Lift up the leg. So now you're using the hip to rotate the knee to the sky, the hip to rotate the knee over your body. Place the foot back down on the inside. slide it back. One last time. Slide on the outside. Lift, come to neutral. Cross the midline with the leg lifted. Place it back down on the inside of the foot. Slide it back. Make an adjustment that you need and just settle in and check in. Hopefully your legs are now even. Go back to flexing and pointing the feet strongly. And maybe even pedal the feet a few times. Okay, now if your strap is nearby you, we're just going to do one or two things using the strap to activate our feet and legs a little more. Now, this is something I haven't done, well, I used to do a lot of. So if you've been a student a long time, what we're going to do is take your strap and fold it completely in half. And then the bottom, the middle of the strap is going to go around your heel. Okay, so it's around the heel. Then you're going to cross the strap in the front of your ankle and then cross it behind your calf. And then you'll grab the two ends of the strap. So you've made like a gurney. And then you lie back down again. And this will really activate your feet as well as your calf. Make sure you're not straining your upper body. So your strap really needs to be long enough that you can hold the ends and keep your shoulders and your backs of your arms on the ground. So I want you to bend your knee. When you bend, you can go ahead and point the toes and then lift the leg and flex. And do that a few more times. Bend the knee and point. Lift the leg and flex. Last time, bend the knee and point. Lift the leg and flex. Now let's do the opposite way. Let's point at the top. And then when you bend the knee, deeply flex, the strap may kind of loosen up here. When you go up to the top, point. When you come down, flex. So if you can manage to do this setup on the other leg without getting up, go ahead and do it. If you need to sit up to do it, that's fine as well. The middle of the strap goes around toward the heel. The strap crosses the ankle. The strap crosses again behind the calf. You hold the very edges of the strap so that you can nestle your arms by your side and not strain your neck or arms. Let's flex and point just a few times just to feel the activation in the bottom of the leg. And then when your leg is up, deeply flex. When your leg is bent, go ahead and point. When you lengthen that leg back up, deeply flex. Draw that leg down and point. Last time like this. And then let's try the other way. So when you lift the leg up, go ahead and point. And then lower and flex. Up and point. And lower and flex. Go ahead and remove the strap. We may use it again later. But for now, we're done. Before you make your way gently to seated, you might want to just either windshield wiper. Oh, there is one more thing I want to do on the back, which is kind of interesting, involving the feet in a bridge, a small bridge pose. Okay. So back to legs bent, feet on the ground. We're going to start with rocking, and we're going to add the feet into the rocking motion. So when you rock forward and you have a little arch under your low back, see if you can come up to the balls of your feet. When you rock back, come up to the heels. So my back is touching the ground. So rock forward, balls of the feet. Rock back, toes are lifted. All right, let's see if we can go slightly up into a bridge pose with this. So when you rock forward, balls of the feet lift into a bridge pose. Ooh. When you come down and rock back, lift your toes. Rock forward, up a little bit into a bridge pose. Don't go too much, don't create back strain. Rock back, lift the toes. Go ahead and draw knees into the chest and just do any sort of organic movement that feels good. And find your way to a seated butterfly pose where you'll be able to work the kidney one with your fingers. Okay. A lot of lower body work today. If you need to sit up on something to elevate your hips, go ahead. I'm not sure I do. You don't have to have your legs super close together. You can find a comfortable place. Find the kidney one is kind of right below the cushy part in that instep, in that area. You can be, it's one of the major points in both Ayurveda, and it's not called kidney one in Ayurveda. It has a different name, as well as traditional Chinese medicine. So some of the points in Ayurveda are very similar in location to the points in TCM. So you could either just rub around here, or you could press in and out, press in and out. But you are activating a major channel point for both grounding and for the water element. All right, you could just play with your feet a little bit here, just for a moment. And we're going to move into our mudra practice. Okay. So you want to sit in any comfortable position. You don't even have to be on the floor. You can be in a chair if that's more comfortable for you. And I want to find a different one. You know, I usually do the same grounding one, but I know there's more than one grounding. Well, grounding is also, oh, here we go. Abhaya Varada. We'll do that one, which is, it's called centering, but it's also about grounding. Page 40, number 47. And sometimes I repeat these, but they're all good. Okay. Okay. All right. So this one, you would take your left hand, cup it, just with a cupped hand, and then just lay this on your body slightly below your navel. So with it facing up. And then you would take your right hand cupped and just kind of hold it up like this. Now, if your arm gets tired like this, you could stack some things to lean your elbow on. You could do something like that if your arm has a tendency to get tired. Okay? All right. So the Abhaya Varada Mudra balances the Vata dosha, and the Vata dosha is very much about, I just want to see something for 1 second. Did I lose? No, okay. Wanted to make sure I didn't lose my clients because something weird happened with my screen. All right. So the Vata dosha is the dosha that is about air and space and tends to create spaciness in the fall. And so what we're doing is we're balancing that today. Okay. So abhaya actually means absence of fear, and varada means granting wishes. So the abhaya varada mudra evokes a fearlessness, which arises from being centered and grounded. So you feel absolutely secure. The gesture directs the breath, the awareness, and the energy into your pelvis, which is the seat of Vata. So you should be feeling some abdominal breathing when your hands are in this mudra. So just check into that for a second and see if you're noticing the breath coming all the way down into the pelvic region. As grounding and centering increase, embodiment is enhanced, along with the ability to live more in the present moment. Centered in the present moment and fully embodied, emotional stability is enhanced, allowing vatas to move forward in life more confidently. Finally, the Abhaya Varada Mudra cultivates a feeling of oneness and unity, which further supports imbalanced vatas in relieving excessive fear and anxiety. All right, your guided meditation is centered within your being. So as you hold the Abhaya Varada Mudra, just take a few breaths to attune to all the feelings and sensations awakened by the gesture. Notice that your breath is being gently directed into the pelvis. Feel the grounding and the centering, allowing you to meet situations with less fear and anxiety. We'll deepen this sense of centering by visualizing yourself at the beginning of a trail in completely new surroundings. You're at the edge of a forest, and in front of you is an ocean of trees that seem to stretch endlessly. As you begin your journey, focus on the Abhaya Varada Mudra and the flow of your breathing directed into the low abdomen. Feel the calm and grounding that comes with this. As you move forward into the forest, you continue to hold your gesture. You're focusing on your breathing. You've lengthened your exhale, cultivating a sense of calm and steadiness. Supported by the earth and centered in your breathing, you're able to inhabit your physical body completely. You're fully present at each step along the journey. Move forward steadily. Stay attuned to your rhythmic breathing. Feel the centering. More attuned to the body and breath, your connection to the earth deepens naturally. You feel a sense of oneness with your surroundings. You're releasing any feelings of anxiety and journey forward with greater security. Continue along your way. In the distance, you see an area of dense forest, a tunnel of trees where almost no light is entering. You hesitate for a moment, but then reconnect with your mudra and the steady flow of your breath. That, with the support of the earth beneath and your sense of centering, allow you to continue forward confidently. Once within the shade of this tunnel of trees, you perceive that it's not a place of danger and foreboding, but a sanctuary where you become one with the natural world that surrounds you. Your fear is being released. Journey on with a renewed sense of safety. You're coming to a clearing where sunlight is shimmering through the leaves. And at the very center, you notice an ancient, majestic tree. As you come nearer, you find a hollow within its huge trunk and roots. They're forming walls and a roof that invite you to sit within this natural room. As you sit, you sense your roots reaching deep into the earth beneath you. You're becoming one with this ancient tree, naturally deepening your sense of centering. Fully centered within your being and deeply connected to the earth beneath, you rest in absolute serenity, knowing that you're fully supported along your life journey. Affirm your centering by repeating the following 3 times, aloud or silently. One with the earth and centered within my being, I journey in complete safety. One with the earth and centered within my being, I journey in complete safety. One with the earth and centered within my being, I journey in complete safety. Gently release the gesture. Take several breaths to rest in absolute tranquility. And blink your eyes open when you're ready. We're going to come onto our knees for a minute and just activate our feet one more time in a pretty intense way. So be very mindful about this pose. You're going to, well, first of all, if you have knee issues, there's a couple of ways to support your knees. One of them is more cushioning underneath. The other is to actually stuff a blanket right between your knees and your thighs. And then I'm tucking all my toes in, including the pinky toe. And you're either slightly sitting back or you are leaning forward if it's too much to sit back. And you're activating the whole plantar fascia, which, can get injured throughout life with all the shoes we wear and not spending enough time with barefoot. Okay. So hang in there, feel the activation of the feet, particularly the bottom and the toes. Ah. Breathe. And then we're going to try to do the other one. Interestingly enough, I have more trouble with the other one where my feet are flat and I'm trying to sit back on them. For me, I have to place a cushion actually under the feet with my feet flat. So this is now working the tops of your feet a little bit and kind of the opposite of what we just did. And breathe here. All right, you can release that, and maybe you need to circle these feet again or pedal them or do something. And we're going to, well, let's do a few arch and flattens or cat cows on hands and knees for a minute. And each time you do the activation of the back muscles with the belly down, you might press a little bit into your feet with the toes tucked in. And then each time you arch up, you might flatten the feet. So now you're laying flat on the feet. So tucking the toes, drawing the belly down, activating back muscles, releasing toes, drawing back up. And you could even lift the head. Okay. So your strap might be helpful again, and you might want to elevate the hips in some fashion here. You might even want to do this against the wall. We're going to use the strap to go around both feet and have legs in the air as our hips are slightly elevated. So determine the right level of elevation for yourself. A rolled blanket might suffice, or some sort of bolster. If you need something under the neck, you can kind of create a little support for under the neck as well. And then the strap is going to go around both feet. And hopefully your strap is long enough to allow your arms to settle down next to you so you're not straining your arms. And you're going to have to do a little adjusting here to figure out exactly where you want your bolster under the hips and exactly where you want any support around your neck if you need that. So the straps going around both feet. Oops. I think really an 8 to 10 foot strap works a whole lot better for doing something like this. Now, if you don't have a strap that long, you could, but you have a strap that loops, you could create a loop that actually goes right up against the feet. You could do it this way, but you still want enough distance, so your hip distance, but you could do one loop like this and just to create some sort of activation of the feet like that, and just do it like that, which is another way of doing it if you don't want your arms involved at all, and you're actually pressing with your feet a little bit against the strap. So that's another way to do this that does not involve the arms. And then just slow your breathing down. You should feel, even though this is a restorative pose, a very activated lower leg and feet in this restorative pose. And breathing. You should have a lot more energy in your steps today, whatever you're doing, as our feet have been awoken. And when you've had enough of this, you could release the strap if you're using a strap. Place it off to the side. And if you've got that bolster, you might just slide it down. So now that it's under your thighs, supporting your legs, so that you can comfortably come into a shavasana. If you're at all cold, you might want to cover yourself and just sort of settle in here. Ah. Okay. So when you get grounded and centered, it often is a great relief from anxiety. And vatas and fall tend to activate more anxiousness, but these grounding practices are such an antidote for it. So today's reading from Mark Nepo is called Surfacing Through. The night will pass, then we have work to do. Everything has to do with loving and not loving, and Rumi said that. Very often when hurt, depressed, or anxious, we encounter powerful feelings like ghosts without a body, trying to pour themselves into us, trying to dominate our lives. They seem to gather in the cave of our pain, stoking our wounds like stones in a fire that keeps them warm. After years of struggling to let my painful feelings out, I'm learning that the other side of this, which is just as essential to my well-being, is not to let the hurt or depression or anxiety set up camp inside of me. I must confess, it's taken me all this way to fully understand that the purpose of surfacing these powerful feelings is to continually empty my heart and mind of its sediment so that new life can make its way into me. There are dangers to not letting such feelings out, but once felt, there are dangers as well to not letting such feelings move on through. For just as our lungs must stay clear for the next mouthful of air, our heart must stay unobstructed for the next feeling we encounter. There's no freedom until we dance the ghosts from the chambers of our wounds, until we pile our wounds like stones at the mouth of our own quarries. So in the last minute, center yourself and maybe call into view a painful feeling that stayed with you a long time. And throughout your meditations this week, enter a dialogue with this feeling and ask why it won't let go. Just what does it need in order to leave? And then breathe steadily and live with what it says. I went a little long today, so just make your way to seated. And I'll get our bowl to ring the bowl. Okay. So this signals the end of our time together. Go ahead and gather any parts of today's practice that were particularly helpful to you. Draw hands to the heart. Let's acknowledge each other, each on our own journey of healing, and when we practice together, a collective journey of healing. Namaste.